That's my drink. Good morning. I believe that you caught me drinking some stuff. I'm real thirsty. It's Saturday morning, May the 20th, 2018, and we're straight chilling over here, San Antonio, Texas. It's probably in the mid 70s, cloudy. It's normally very humid, and so it is today, this morning, but it feels pretty good. Pretty refreshing out here. Just straight chilling out here. Me and got Bella. Alright, she doesn't have nothing better to do, and so she's hanging out with us. You know, you guys, I realize that on my streams I don't have a particular time that I be doing them. So therefore they are kind of hard to catch, you know. I don't expect people to be glued to the internet and stuff like this. And that's particularly my problem. I gotta be able to regulate, but it's hard for me to regulate on certain things. So I want to stream, and I'm assuming, you know, nobody will pop in. Maybe somebody will pop in, this and that. I'm gonna be on here, I don't know, maybe like over a half an hour. I'm gonna try and limit also my streams because I realize they're very long. Some people listen to them, but it's like, you know, dang, dude. Sometimes I'll be just jabbering on for like an hour and 45 minutes talking to people, and I gotta be a little bit better at that, more crisper at that. I've been thinking. That's what I've been thinking about. But anyways, while we're here, I wanted to take some time out. I actually had to go work later, and last night I crashed the hell out real hard, and I slept for like 10 hours, and I woke up. I had to go to work later, putting in some OT, you know what I'm saying? Getting some of that sweet OT money, and, you know, I look forward to that, but, you know, it's going to be a long shift. And before I go in today, I figured if I'm going to do one thing, I might as well just go on live, talk about some stuff. There's some things that we could talk about right now, you know. Pretty interesting things going on. Of course, we're not going to get to all of them, but there's some particular ones that I wanted to touch on with y'all this weekend before we go into the next week. All right, and the first and foremost is the shooting took place. Was it yesterday? I heard about it, but I heard about it late. You know, because I don't be keeping up with the news just as quick as I want to. I got other things that I be doing. So I heard about it late. This shooting in Texas. You know, Texas is so big. You know, I hear other people talk about where they're from and their states and stuff like that, and they know about this and that and the other. Texas is so big that like half of everything in Texas I've never heard of. So I'm not sure exactly where this shooting took place, where in Texas. I forget the names and the details. I did not look into it all that much. You know, I glazed the surface last night and seeing what in the heck was going on, and I noticed a few details. So like I don't know all the details. Like, for example, the alleged shooter, his name is Demetrios, I believe. Demetrios something or other. It's a hard name. The city which it takes place, I'm not sure. I don't know where that is and stuff. I understand it's a small town, probably. All right. Here's what I can say right now, and the thing is, it's all alleged. I don't know about y'all out there, but that's how I take it in these days. I mean, I don't know if any of this is real or true or what's going on. We're going to look into it. It sounds pretty much like it did happen. As of right now, I'm going to assume it did happen. And it happened just in the way, basically, that they are describing. I'm going to just assume that and go from there. That way we can have a little bit of something to build upon. I think what's interesting about this story so far is that it kind of ruins the narrative for people who are what would be called anti-gun people, I suppose. I don't know what they call themselves. All right, it kind of ruins their thing because a lot of them were trying to ban AR-15s for some reason, or assault-style rifles is what they call them. They're trying to do that even though it doesn't hardly make any sense. So they were trying to go that route. There are other people on the fringe of this anti-gun movement who go to the route, and they're on the fringe of the whole movement, is they go the route of banning every single gun, all the guns. And see, in this particular situation in which the child um, allegedly, apparently got his father's guns. One was a shotgun. I heard some people say it was sawed off, but I don't really know. A shotgun and a revolver, which isn't even, I think technically speaking, that's not semi-automatic. A revolver, nobody's been talking about them. Even though lots of times revolvers get used to shoot people. All right. So that kind of muddies up the waters, if you will. Really muddies up the waters when you think about it. Like, it's hard to argue against this. Now, like I said, there's a lot of details. If this basic story played out, there's a lot of details that, will come to light and will probably be pretty intriguing. All right. But as far as guns are concerned, he used some other guns that it kind of muddied up the waters. People are going to have conflicting agendas now, and they've been having conflicting agendas, but it's becoming more and more apparent. Not only that, we could think about these details that are coming out, or they're going to come out, and we could try to get to the bottom of, how did this happen? How can we get to the root of this? And certainly this channel in particular tends to think about things on that sort of a level. Certainly that does happen. But what's definitely more important, I think what's becoming strikingly more important right now, instead of how does this happen, did he get bullied, this and that, how is his home life, is to think, okay, how is this possible that it keeps happening up in schools? All right, forget the motive for a second, because on this channel we think about the motive a lot, but let's place that to the side. This person allegedly, supposedly can keep getting up into schools and shoot them up. All right, thing is, you might call that a soft target. You might say that that's where people go specifically to shoot up people. You might say that at that point, and you'd be 100% correct. There's really no debating that no more. There's especially not in America, because you got bombings and shootings and stuff happen in other countries, and they might happen in the market, they might happen at this and that. It's happening at schools up in here. All right. Thing is, it's very, very much promoted by the press, obviously, and it's popularized things of this nature to the point where some children think that it's happening all the time, everywhere. All right. And there was a particular video clip that went viral already. It's probably going to go more viral. You might check it out. This little girl, she was talking about that shooting, the Texas shooting that just happened. And she was talking about it. And like I said, it's kind of going viral. She was saying, basically, it's happening all the time, everywhere, obviously. And I knew that as a child who goes to high school. I had that on my mind. And I always, I was just starting to assume that, of course, eventually it's going to happen here. And it did happen here. All right, so my assumptions were correct. Now, this video clip definitely has gone viral. I don't know how viral it would go. But she's talking about, man, I just feel like it's happening everywhere all the time. And it's going to eventually come get me, and it got me. All right, I've got some of my friends and stuff like this. That's a terrible situation, man. I mean, when you think about it, the thing is, for number one, it is not happening everywhere. I mean, when you think about statistically, it's not really all as impending as it's been made to believe by the people on your TVs. All right. Not y'all's TVs. I understand that y'all most people who I talk to either don't watch TV or claim to not watch TV. And I'm not sure why that is, but somebody's out there watching it. All right, so it's like you can get up in there with any number of different kind of guns. It doesn't even have to be guns. It could be all sort of different weapons like knives. How it's used in Asia a lot. All right, so, and Great Britain a lot. All right, you can get up there with guns and shoot everybody up, and that's bad. That's bad to think about it. It's bad when you think about it. Donald Trump, for all that love him and hate him, Donald Trump said, these are basically victim disarmament zones where people go into, and for sure they're not going to have a weapon. So if you do have a weapon, you're king. You are the king then. You are the king for about 15 minutes. You can do whatever you want. And that's what it is at schools. All right, so that's very interesting to think that it's absolutely a target. It's a soft target, and you have some people who are now gonna more come out the closet. There are gonna be a lot more people who do come out the closet and say, "See, we got to ban everything from everybody," because you understand that the child he allegedly took these guns from his father, meaning his father shouldn't be allowed to have guns, regardless of who his father is. Right? Should be banned from having guns. Basically, everybody should be banned from having guns. All type of guns. That's what they're gonna say. Meanwhile, I believe over there in a foggy London town, they are discussing the banning of kitchen knives. It's like I don't know if they're gonna have some government agency cutting all their meat or what they're gonna have. Cutting all their veggies and everything like that. I don't know what they're gonna do, but see, they can't stop and they won't stop. So you see the road that it's going down. Meanwhile, the legitimate answer, I wish anybody had a debate for me, is to make the schools a harder target, make them not victim disarmament zones, I guess as Donald Trump would put it. That's becoming more and more apparent. And just to finish off on that topic, as far as the shooting goes, it is typical, I guess you would say. It's not happening all over the place all of the time, but of course high school students are led to believe that it is happening all over the time. So they're living in fear now. High school students are definitely living in all sort of fear all the time, and they're watching each other and they're like, "Oh man, are we about to shoot each other all day?" Right now, that's literally probably what they're thinking, especially even more past this shooting. Some are thinking that it's a very soft target. The thing is, for the people who would be talking about banning all guns, completely impossible. If you wanted to ban all AR-15s, that's completely impossible. It's just not even possible here in America. So that part's not even possible. To ban all guns would be completely, unbelievably fantastical. You have to bomb every last inch of this country to smithereens in order to do that. So you can see which paths we kind of should take and stuff like that. Meanwhile, just to finish off on that topic, I don't want to spend all day on that particular topic because I don't know all the details. But over the past couple of shootings, major shootings, like in schools and this and that, people have been jokingly, and I've seen a number of people on the internet. I'm sorry if it's breezy. Let me know if it is too breezy right now because I can't find my headphones. I misplaced them, but I'm gonna have to get them. Or if you could hear me, or if you could see me, and things of this nature. Anyways, as far as that goes, about the school shootings, some people would want to ban all the guns. Well, yeah, that's completely impossible and stuff. Some people began joking a number of events back. Well, why don't we ban schools? Because doesn't that make sense? If we ban schools, then we won't get all murdered all in the same place. Well, doesn't that make sense? And they also kind of qualified that by saying, these schools are actually teaching us really stupid things, really stupid things, and it's not getting us nowhere. And it's like, dude, it's really wasting our time. And they're teaching about all sort of history that really, come to find out, doesn't make no sense. And they made it up. Basically, it seems like they made it up. They're wasting our time. They're wasting our children's time. They're putting them in a place where they could get shot up real easy. And that's not something that we like or that we care for. We're not entertained by this. We're not. I mean, we just can't have this anymore. That's what some people were starting to joke about. And at this point, some people are being dead serious now. Why in the world are we not banning schools? Because they're not giving us the success that we want. Not only that, they're seeming to be breeding grounds for whatever you want to call it, bullying and this and that, people feeling like outcasts, people feeling like violent, murderous rage and stuff, people playing video games and stuff like this. You know, it's social disorder. It's a breeding ground for social disorder. That's the number one actual argument that I've heard, and you've probably heard it as well. People, they say that these children need school to learn how to socially, to be more social and stuff like this. It's a breeding ground for social disorder. It's all over the place. Right? People are getting shot up here and there, but we had to leave out on this note. Even more important than all those details is quite obviously this child who allegedly shot up the school in Texas. He's not an original thinker or anything like this. All right, if you were to look at him, you might, I don't know, don't judge a book by its cover, but he doesn't look like much of an original thinker or anything like this. The biggest reason why this kid shot up the school, I mean, he might have been bullied. He might have had a bad girlfriend situation. His parents might have got all divorced and stuff like that. It does happen. All right. The biggest reason why this young man shot up the school is because he heard of other people doing it, shooting up the school, and it was glorified on the news on your TV, or not your TV, obviously, but other people's TVs. It's glorified all over the place, talked about all the time. And see, these children, they want attention so bad, and I can't say that I blame them, but they want attention so bad that it doesn't matter if it's good attention or if it's bad attention. See what I mean? So long as they get the attention, well, they did a good job, all right? That's what they set out to do. And briefly, I do want to touch upon it. It's weird because, you figure allegedly, according to the story, that the kid wanted to shoot himself at the end. That's like his last thing that he does. And he didn't have the heart to do it, allegedly, as the story goes. I don't know if any of that's true. But he didn't exactly have the heart to kill himself, and that's why he's in jail right now. And that's real deep. Isn't that real deep? Like, he did want the attention. He wanted that so bad, obviously. And I can't say that I blame him. All right, but he wanted it in a bad way. He kills all these people, and then he's going to kill himself. But he didn't even have the heart to do that. That was a real interesting note to think about. He wanted the attention, and perhaps deep in his heart, he still wants the attention. He doesn't want to let it go, and that's why he didn't shoot himself, or whatever. That's how allegedly the story goes. But that's all the details that I know about that particular story. I just wanted to bring that up because obviously, people are going to be having that fresh on their minds, probably. Hey, shout out to Philip Stragner. I saw your comment. Says, well, okay, this is live. Yeah, I believe it is live. Philip, unless I'm mistaken. And hello to you as well. Hey, people in the comment section, man, let me know if you can hear me real good or if you can see me real good. I don't know. I don't have the mic in, stuff like that. I didn't know where it was this morning. We're just here to talk about some sobering things, I guess you would say. That would be the name of the live stream. All right, and I did want to bring up the shooting because that's kind of not good. All right, it's real sobering. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about too much like diving headlong into depression, but it's a sobering event that happens. Sometimes it makes us think introspectively. Sometimes it makes us get real quiet and sit to ourselves and think, well, what's going on now? What's going on now in the world, I guess, in general, or maybe just the world around us, makes us step back and say, it's an interesting place what's taking place here. Like I said, I don't know too much yet about that shooting. I don't know if I'll even dive too far into it because I got a lot of different other sobering things on my plate right now. All right. But while we're here, I did want to talk to you about some things that we already know. It's already established. But I want it to be more concrete. Like, I want it to really be driven home as far as the concepts that we've discussed here. I'll tell you about a story that I was told yesterday, in which, okay, just to set it up, It's people in my dining room, and we're eating and stuff. All right. One of the persons, she gets well. She brings up the topic of this lady, who we all basically know. My younger brother knows the lady. I know the lady. She used to live down the block. All right, somewhere in the neighborhood. Tell us about this lady. All right, and the serious situation that lady put herself in. It's kind of reminiscent to another situation that I've described on this channel. I don't know, maybe a year ago or something like that. All right, but the lady starts telling us this story at the dining room table about this other lady. She's in a serious predicament. All right. I don't want to jumble up all the details. I mean, she just told me what was going on. Basically, the story goes on this past Mother's Day, that lady wound up having an overdose, heroin. All right. And, as of yesterday, this lady was still basically in ICU, basically all in a coma. Basically, they're thinking about go ahead and pulling that plug. All right, if this does not get better, if the situation does not get better. That was the last time I heard about it. I haven't really talked to the lady about it since yesterday when she was telling us. And I thought it was a very, very interesting situation. So all sort of details that we could discuss about that situation that we're probably not going to discuss today here on this broadcast. But I wanted to point out certain details about it. Now, I remember getting up on Mother's Day. A lot of people celebrate holidays, right? And a lot of people don't really celebrate holidays. And there's some people who will, I don't know, they can't accept that certain other people don't celebrate holidays, right? Or maybe back and forth. I don't know. There's certain people who just don't understand. Like, just for example, I don't really celebrate holidays. I put an emphasis on I put an emphasis on every day, personally. That's just what I do. And a lot of people are like, well, holidays are more special. You have to celebrate a certain person, a certain this, and certain that. And it's like, well, that really doesn't line up with my lifestyle, so I just don't do it. All right. So, anyways, I try to still be good to people every single day, but Mother's Day, I remember when it was coming and going, and it wasn't very eventful. People said Happy Mother's Day and blah blah blah, and it just it reminded me. Even then, like it just reminded me of it's like. This holiday really isn't that great. It's like, dude, either people had to jump through hoops to convince you that you're a great person on this specific design day for you. Either they had to do that, or maybe you're gonna be somewhat resentful that they didn't do it. You know what I mean? That's to say, in other words, some people are gonna end up feeling really, really bad on this particular holiday, and it has nothing to do with me because I'm not a woman or a mother at all. But you had to imagine there's going to be all sort of mothers who feel really, really shitty on this holiday. All right, and you might say, well, they deserve to feel shitty, and I don't know if I can debate you on that. But at the same time, the holiday in and of itself is kind of destructive that way. Either you're having a really, really good holiday, or you're having a really bad one. All right, and I think it's safe to say the better, the better holiday that you have, the more bad someone else's holiday is going to be. It's kind of a balance that way. All right. I don't know. That might be debatable on that part, but certainly, people are having terrible experiences on holidays, and that's because holidays exist, and that's why I don't really celebrate them. I don't emphasize them. My birthday, I don't really even. It doesn't matter hardly. All right, because who am I? Some special person? Oh, I deserve to get celebrated. That doesn't make any sense to me. All right, but anyways, taking it back to this story, the lady, she overdoses on heroin, from what I'm understanding. She overdoses. This is on Mother's Day. All right. She is a mother. She does have two young children, and we're understanding that she was having another child, but the child had died. All right. And so I don't know all the details of the situation. I mean, this is a person who I particularly just know a little bit. I know this person a little bit, so I couldn't tell you, and nor would I think to tell you all the different various details. But that to me is very important, right there. She is a mother. I mean, it's some weird coincidence in a world that can even contain coincidences, which I don't really believe in. But that's some strange coincidence that this lady overdoses. Got some comments. There might be some buffering. But get a boy that stinks. Who's get what? That's why I do sub box. I'm doing much better. I don't know. Who knows what kind of compromising situation that'll be? All right, who really knows? It's a wild situation, especially for her young children, and it's very very similar to that one lady about a year ago who did basically the same thing to herself with alcohol, and she blew up, went to the ICU, and did not make it through that. All right. I wanted to talk about that. I did want to talk about the fact is the holiday can be quite excruciating for some people. And I'm not about banning holidays so much as I am about ignoring them. They don't really serve anybody well. They don't have, I mean, if anything, they bring a lot of grief. They certainly bring a lot of grief. But I also wanted to mention this fact. And this was also something that was very similar to the first situation of the lady dying. All right, this lady, she overdoses on heroin on Mother's Day. She is a mother. You can assume that that was excruciating. All right, but not only that, something else that I want to share, and as part of the story, was that this lady had posted, this particular lady who overdosed, posted something that day on Mother's Day. And her post on Facebook was to all the mothers out there, basically like, oh, thank you for my mother, thank you for her mother, and, us mothers out here, we're on top of the world. Thing is, behind the scenes, overdosing on heroin. A lot of people actually know. Actually, it happens almost all the time, man. I mean, really, it's almost ubiquitous. Uh, people, Facebook is a depression machine. That's part of the problem. I don't know how they designed it to be this way, but it is extremely depressing. So depressing. One detail that I want to share with you that I share with some of the younger folks out there is, if you ever see somebody and they have 500 Facebook friends, that person, all right, sincerely they need somebody to talk to and stuff like this, probably more likely. And I mean, the more friends that they have on Facebook, unless there's some sort of celebrity, in which case that might also be appropriate, but the more friends that they have, the more likely they will commit suicide, dude, or go up and shoot the school or something like this, or probably more likely commit suicide. I don't know how likely it would be that they would shoot up the school. But it's a real depressing place, and it's full up with red flags, unfortunately. And I know a lot of people are doing a lot of cool things on Facebook, or trying to. Some people get manned up off of Facebook for saying the wrong things. Right? It's a very, very depressing place, and I gotta tell you, there's been many, many, many suicides, probably, that have been followed. I mean, it follows like a Facebook post or something like this, dude. People putting like silly pictures of, born to kill or something like this. It seems to be, it seems to be like you could study this website in particular and see who's going to harm themselves or others. That's what it seems like. All right. There's a couple other things that we're probably going to discuss before we get up out of here. I don't know how long this broadcast will be. Thank y'all for everybody for joining me. But I do want to cover, I guess, what's been said in the comments, because I don't want to, have y'all feel like you're being left out and stuff. Sometimes it's hard for me to concentrate on what the heck I'm talking about and the comments at the same time. All right. I get all kind of flustered and stuff. So we're going to check out the comments, see what's being said. A lot of stuff, man. Oh, man. Okay, you know what? YouTube. Every time one of y'all makes a comment, it scrolls down to the bottom. I can't see what y'all are saying. Deb said hi. All right. Ghetto Boy said I'm here too dry, but my laptop's running so low, having terrible lag. That's all right. I mean, laptops run out of battery, and that's all right. Hermione is bad here. Uh, Philip says Hermione is bad here, and I'm not sure what exactly that is. He might have meant heroin, and it respelled what he was saying. Heroin probably is bad there. I'm pretty sure heroin's bad anywhere, in a sense. But at the same time, I do want to touch upon the fact is that heroin is a drug, just like all these other drugs, and it could be used for productive purposes. All right, but it's illegal, and instead it's used on the streets. All right, Deborah J says, "Oh, get a boy, that stinks." Philip says, "That's why I do a sub box." Dang it, we're gonna have to have Philip on and talk about what the heck he's talking about, man. Because I mean, heroin is bad. Why I do sub box one? I'm doing much better. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing better, man. And the thing is, I feel like he has some great insights probably to help other people do better, because there's a lot of people out here who need a little bit of help. To include everybody, man. Everybody out here is going to need some help from time to time. It says, my mother in Texas is in visiting. I understand. I don't like holidays either. Philip does not like the holidays either. Deb says, I'm getting that twirling circle. I lots too. Oh, that buffering. Gosh dang it. I wish I can get, I don't know. It seems to be nothing I can do about the buffering. I wonder how much it is that it's buffering. All right. I'm sorry about that, you guys. And I wish I could change that. And maybe I will. Maybe I have to get some more technology. That technology is expensive. Philip says, I understand. I don't like holidays either. Ghetto Boy says, Deb, I know. It's a crappy laptop. Philip says, darn it. It just stopped. The live stream stopped. Dang it. All right. Well, holler at me. I don't know if the live stream stopped right now or if it's been stopped. Philip says all sort of stuff. ABC News came in and says some weird stuff. Apparently, ABC News is joining us. Hold on one second. Let me see what ABC News has to say, because that's kind of a new person to me. It says, I'm using the same Ghetto Boy. Yeah, the twirling circle. The twirling circle. You might just call my broadcast a twirling circle. I don't know how to get it to stop buffering and buffering and buffering. And I wonder if y'all can even hear what I'm talking about. Philip says, back now. ABC shooter says, did the shooter take Prozac? All right, I want to address that question. That's a very good question. It's legitimate. We're talking about, I believe, the Texas shooter for the school shooting. Did he take Prozac? Like I said, I don't know the details. Don't hardly know the details. Yes, he did. Or some sort of variant or something like that. Probably, more likely, yes. I don't know. See, the thing is, it's been yes for many of the situations that have taken place as of recent years. It's been yes, and for a while now, the answer has been yes. I don't know where we go from there. To be honest with you, the answer is yes, and I believe everybody's going to find out, and everybody else already basically knows. The answer is yes. I believe the problem that comes into play is that some people will take those very same medicines and not feel the same way about it, like won't go take the medicines, the Prozac, whatever you want to call it. They'll take the Prozac and try to feel good. They feel very depressed, and at times I feel very depressed. I understand depression. All right, so they'll feel very depressed. They'll take the Prozac. They'll feel numb, basically. They'll get it all numb. They won't feel pain. Steven Tyler was talking about this with Joe Rogan just the other day. They won't feel no pain no more. Okay, so let's imagine the shooter that buffering. It's crazy. Let's imagine the shooter had Prozac just like all the shooters before him. Now, and that's the thing about it. I don't say that. I don't stuff. And you do that were to happen. Basically, you can sue them. And I'm so sorry for all the buffering. I wonder if there's anything that I could do about that. Maybe if I stop moving so much. Maybe if I'm real still, it won't buffer so much. Anyways, the most that anybody could hope for in trying to take down the Prozac makers, the pill makers, and things of this nature, the best that they could ever hope for is $1 million settlements. That's about it. $1 million settlements, and most of it probably go to the lawyer. Actually, those people are balling out of control like nobody's business. If you ever want to see anybody party, go to those lawyers who deal in those sorts of cases. All right, that's all you could ever hope for is $1 million settlements. Meanwhile, those very companies are making billions and billions of dollars. So it's like you're not going to stop them because of the people who buy their product. It's a lot of people. All right, are all these shooters on a Prozac type variant? Yeah, yeah, it is. All right, that's the thing about it. Are they all popping pills? Yeah, probably. Are they all kind of mentally all messed up? Those who actually do it, yeah, and stuff. Was there all sort of bullying and stuff goes down in schools? Yeah, all the time. Is it kind of a breeding grounds for social disorder when you really think about it? You're putting all sort of kids unsupervised together so that they can learn together, like not under the supervision of adults or loosely under the supervision of adults. Is that kind of bad? Yeah, it is kind of bad, but at this point, shoot, man, if you're still talking about putting your children in that school or any kind of school, it, it just makes sense to want security guards like at the door, like just to make it harder for it to get shot at. All right, I don't have any skin in the game. I don't know. I can't. I don't have children in school. I have many nieces in school. My daughter could very well be in school and stuff that is really kind of out of my control and stuff, man. But if it wasn't my control, I would probably want that school to have some armed teachers, man. I really would be. I don't know what else. I mean, or we could ban all weapons and ban all violence, stuff like that. But anyways, I want to cover the. I'm sorry if it's very windy. Gosh, I really need to get my technicals together so that we can come together. We're having some great ideas. ABC News is posting some very valuable questions and stuff. Has been a pretty good contributor thus far in the program. I want to touch on Ghetto Boy. He says, yes, these netbooks ain't that good. Mine gets hot. Yeah, you're gonna need like a fan up under there. I think they sell some fans and stuff, but yeah, your netbook's probably getting old and stuff. It's gonna get real hot. Philip says, I hate the twirling circle. Man, I hate the twirling circle too, man. One day we're gonna have to get past this twirling circle business. I know it's a lot of people whose live streams are much better than my live stream. It's all about signal and stuff. I'm here on a phone, and that's terrible. It's a terrible idea, but I gotta buy some other stuff. Deb J says the shooter was a Satanist Nazi. Dang it. Deb J, I believe you're talking about the shooter from the Texas shooting. Now, if you're still with us in the comments sections, I want you to go ahead and leave a comment about the shooter from Texas being a Satanist Nazi, because he could have been. He could have been that, but I don't know. I don't know any of the details or how it is that you got that. Who told you this? That he's a Satanist Nazi. I always find it weird that, it's Nazis. It's a lot of people like to talk about Nazis, and for good reason, because Nazis are out there. All right. Everybody seems to hate Nazis ubiquitously, and I can't blame them. I'm Polish and stuff. Like, I'm kind of meant to hate Nazis as well, all right? But the thing is, everybody talks about these Nazis and stuff. Meanwhile, and I'm not saying this about Deb J out there, but there's a lot of people who don't remember that these are socialist people. Nazis are socialists. That's the whole thing about it. They're meant to be socialists and stuff like that. Everybody hates the Nazis. You know what I'm saying? But only half of people hate the idea of socialism. And the fact is that Nazis were socialists. That was the whole part. The whole thing of it was to be national socialists, stuff like this, and the cloud of confusion surrounding Nazis is real interesting. I want to find out about this kid. Maybe he was a Nazi, but it's weird because you have people like David Hogg who I guess died into obscurity. I haven't been hearing about David Hogg recently, really. But he was calling all sort of people Nazis and fuckheads and this and that, and just all sort of like using terrible language, calling people Nazis. Meanwhile, he himself was pretty much purporting Nazi ways and logic. Like, he was calling for very Nazi things and calling everybody else Nazis. It's like, dude, my question now is, who's the Nazis and who isn't the Nazis? You know, David Hogg's calling people Nazis and acting like a Nazi, and all of his friends are calling people Nazis and they're acting like Nazis. And it's like, who? I'm just sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, who really is the Nazis? I'm starting to wonder if I'm the Nazis. And I might be, and I just don't know it. Because it's boggling my mind. Because, like, Kanye West is probably the Nazis now. I don't know if y'all heard the only common denominator. And I'm trying to share for years now, and that is that everything is drugs. If you were to classify drugs and say this is a drug but that isn't a drug, you can do this but you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Once you start doing that, you lose the concept of the fact is that everything's drugs. You can use anything as drugs. Like, I could go over there and pet on Bella and feel real good, and that's like a drug to me. If I do it all day, she's eventually going to go bald. And I'm going to lose my job. And all sort of bad stuff's going to happen. But it's a drug. It's a drug in and of itself. The same. A lot of people look at it and say, well, you know, these particular drugs, these Prozac drugs, they drive people to kill. And that's what's kind of interesting about that, is they like put people over the top to kill other people and themselves. To that, I would agree. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But banning drugs is a really hard thing to do. And in the end, what it really does is it puts every one of us in jail. All right, one by one. They start putting more and more people in jail, and that is the whole point, by banning drugs. But banning drugs doesn't make anything more safer at all. All right, there's been points in American history when we didn't have so many drug laws, and meanwhile, we didn't have the epidemic of drug use that we're seeing today at the same time. All right, so it's pretty interesting. I would like to hear ABC News's thoughts on all of that about the Prozac. That there's a lot of people who use the Prozac, and yes, it is a common denominator in all these shootings. And how you feel about the Prozac? Because a lot of people would want to ban the Prozac, or maybe they would want to sue the Prozac makers, or I don't know, burn down their buildings. I'm not an advocate of any of that. But I would like to hear your thoughts on which way that we could go with the Prozac and the shootings. Let me read a little bit further. Ghetto Boy says, you and Philip and Ozzy, Mark, you're talking about Matrix Mark, I believe. We'll have to do a live chat. That would be epic. You know what? I think it would be epic. Probably would be epic. Thing is, definitely have to work on my technology. All right, definitely have to get my money up. And I'm getting a little bit more money these days, so I'm gonna have to look into it. As far as live stream, but I think that would be epic. I wonder if that is the case, if that would be epic. Ghetto Boy, I want you to basically, I don't know, maybe suggest a subject in particular, what it is that the trifecta could dive in on and I guess dissect for everybody's enjoyment. That would be cool. I've seen Mark talk about a lot of stuff on video. It's just been remarkable. I mean, handfuls of things that I don't even remember off the top was pretty dang intriguing that we could dive into. And Lord knows Philip talks about some things. They really cut to the heart of the matter. They really get to the nitty gritty these days. And there's a lot of foots on the ground in which that we could consult with and stuff like that. That would be probably pretty epic. Probably would be. But at this point, I'm still here, holding up my cell phone in my hand and stuff, man. My technology is not good. All right, I really need to work on it, and this is probably my wake-up call to work on it. I kept pushing it back. I got this and that bills that I've been paying, but the thing is, got to get my technology together, because we got to bring these minds together to think about stuff, think about how our society is putting the anaconda squeeze on us, man, and it's really making us feel not too good anymore. All right. Lots of wild, crazy things happening. The thing is, I think it's probably very important. That's why I do it. I come on here and we talk about all these wild, crazy things. I think it's very important. All right. At the same time, man, there's got to be an opportunity and a little window um, to enjoy ourselves, I guess, to see the humor and all the dang destruction. I mean, whatever dark humor that we could conjure in our heads and just enjoy each other's company for whatever little time that we have, on this earth, which, I mean, a lot of people refer to as a very, very short amount of time. All right. I mean, there's a lot to be thought about. As far as other topics going on in the news, I can't really even think of some off top. I've been looking at them. They've all been blowing my mind. One topic, I guess, that comes to my mind right now, I think we're going to discuss this before we get up on out of here. It's a topic that I heard about. Unfortunately, these are all sobering topics. I heard about this one earlier this morning, and you probably Google it and find out about this lady who jumped out of a building. I believe it was Gotham Hotel in and around New York City, I believe. I don't know. But Gotham Hotel jumped out the building like 25 stories up with her son, 7-year-old, if I'm understanding correctly. Jumped out the building with her son to their doom. All right. And certainly certain things like this, it's not like an extremely rare, I mean, it's kind of rare, but it does happen. All right. It's kind of reminiscent of that story back in Big Spring that happened just a couple months ago in which the lady drove off the mountain with her daughter in the back seat. All right. I don't know all the details of this particular story, but it's quite sobering. Did want to bring it up about the lady jumping out the building with her son in tow to their doom. Now, I don't know all the details. I barely know this lady's name. Never heard of her before. But I guess she's kind of famous and's got money and stuff. I don't know all the details, but from what I understand, and it could stand to correlate, is that this jumping out the window to their doom had a lot to do with probably a custody battle that was taking place currently. In which maybe this lady thought that she wasn't going to win. She's a former Playboy playmate, if that has any sort of significance. And from what I understand, the father is a chiropractor or something like this. All right. She jumps out the window with the son. All right. And I don't know. It's hard to know. But you figure she'd jump out the window to kill herself. She would take her son with her to make sure that that man did not have his son no more. It's not a rare thing that happens. It's kind of messed up. You really can't make that illegal because it already is illegal to murder people. All right. There's nothing that you could do to make sure that parents won't, lose it, if you will, and murder their children. Maybe murder themselves and murder their children as well. You can't make a law against that because there already is a law against that. All right. I guess we'll leave out on this note, make it about an even hour. Is that you can't make any laws against murder because there already is laws against murder. You could try and maybe, I think I would suggest, get rid of all these custody battles and things of this nature where you got child support battles and this where it goes in the court. People get incriminated and stuff like this. A lot of people wind up doing very, very harsh things, as an aftermath to all this. Oh, shoot, actually, before we get up out of here, I want to touch on this, and I'm going to make a shorter video in response because I was supposed to make a response video to a particular video, another Philip Andrew, J.K. Philip Andrew. I was going to make a response video to his video in regards to justice system reform, if you will, in which basically what happened was this. I touched on justice system reform, my thoughts on it, because he had asked me. And so I touched on my thoughts on justice system reform. And to put it very briefly, I basically said, you'll find all the justice system reform you want in that book over there. It's called the Bible. All right, and you'll also find all my thoughts on it. To which J.K. Philip Andrew, a dear contributor, I mean, just a brilliant mind, he was like, I don't really see what you're talking about in the Bible, and I'm sure he knows a lot of different things about the Bible. People usually know more about the Bible than they give themselves credit for, just because it is kind of peppered through our society, like the golden rule and this and that. He's talking about the Bible, and that he didn't know that I meant by that being justice system reform. And I guess I could have meant a couple different things. I feel like the thing is, it's not very in black and white in the Bible, saying, "Oh, do you want justice system reform?" Well, I put it as a subtopic, and now we're gonna describe it. It's not really cut and dried like that necessarily in the Bible. But one thing that I wanted to mention for anybody out there who might be reading the Bible right now, or maybe reading the Bible in the near future, I want to talk about the fact is that it kind of touches on things. Certain things are made mention. First of all, there is like certain things that stand out, such as the Ten Commandments. Those that would kind of stand out as being basic justice system reform, and it would correlate with not my ideas. My ideas would correlate with it because it would be a simplification. A simplification. A lot of people are of the idea that if we create more laws, or maybe we create more specific laws, we could really reduce crime with the specificity of our laws, and we'll just make more and more and more of them. I'm of the belief that the more laws you make, the more of us going to be in prison, period. All right? So you might as well just write us a hall pass into prison, is what you're trying to do. That's just my opinion. And so therefore, that being my opinion, I would lean towards more of a simplification. 10 Commandments are pretty dang simple. All right. There's the argument that that's not enough, and certainly that isn't enough. That's why there was more of that book. But not only that, I mean, there's more other books that have been written with all sort of different lessons to be learned. It's just a overall embrace of simplification, and at the same time, it's kind of an embrace of personal responsibility. In a sense, because most people, especially in the United States, are brought up to think, well, if something bad happens to me, the police will get justice for me, and this and that other person will get justice for me, and they'll make sure of it. And if they don't, then they're bad people. And I would agree, yeah, they're kind of bad. But at the same time, it's more of a personal embrace of responsibility towards justice. You can't really rely on these other people because these other people have proven to you to be a failure. When we're talking about the FBI, when we're talking about the sheriff's office, not every sheriff's office, but there are a sheriff's office out there who will let you down. In the heat of the moment, they will not be there to save you. You understand? So it does get more simplified. There's also other examples of basically, instead of looking outwardly for justice, looking inwardly for justice. Might leave off on this note. If y'all got some comments and stuff, let me know. Shout out real quick. I'll probably be ducking out pretty soon to get ready for work. All right. But in certain instances, like I hearken back to this one particular story in the Gospels, where these people, I believe they find an adulterating lady. All right, they drag her out. They bring her to Jesus. Say, "Oh man, say he's an adulterer and stuff. We caught her messing around. I don't know what happened with the man necessarily, but they caught the lady. They dragged her out all half naked and stuff in front of Jesus and said, man, what do you think we should do with this lady? She's obviously she's broken the law. All right, we got laws against this, man. It's not right, and it's disturbing us. They're like, man, what, you think we should stone her or something like that? They're asking Jesus, like, hey, you think we probably should stone this lady for breaking the law like this, being an adulterous lady? And Jesus looked at them, basically looked at all their faces and their eyeballs and said, oh, you could do that. You could do that. You don't think that I know about all of y'all's perversions. All right, so all y'all out there who's got all these perversions, you're doing these things that I didn't ordain. Sexually in the bed or what, in the bedroom, in the privacy of your own home. You think you're doing it and nobody knows about it and you're getting away with it and stuff like this. You think, oh, because what you done, you didn't get caught, you're not breaking the law and stuff. Oh, you think that you're not to be punished for this. And basically threw back in their faces and said, dude, I know all y'all's perversion. You might not be adultering like this lady, but you're adultering in other different ways. All right, you might think that you're not being such an adulterer, but I know about what you're doing. So Jesus kind of forces you to look upon in yourself. Now, we're not out there. I'm not out there certainly shooting up the school, jumping out the window, this and that and the other, what a lot of people are doing, proving to be quite fatal, quite disastrous. I'm not out there doing that. All right, you're probably not out there doing that. But what are we doing? Becomes the question. What are we doing that's kind of similar? What characteristics do we share with those people out there who are jumping off the deep end, totally murdering people? Is there something that we share with those people? I think as we get out here today, I want to sit and I ponder about that young kid who allegedly did what he just did. Pondering about listening to his words, whatever he has to share, and studying them. And really, really trying to come to solutions. And really, really trying to save the day, if you will, in the future, as far as making it to where children don't want to shoot up the school. Because right now, we are living in a culture that's kind of cultivating this. It's kind of leading to more and more of this. Could we listen to this young boy about what he just did? Or are we going to shove him in the corner, tell him to shut the hell up? He don't need to talk to nobody. Nobody needs to hear a word. We're going to come to all sort of conclusions, even well before you even get to trial, young man. That's the system. That's the justice system that, in my opinion, can't really be reformed all too well. So we're going to get the heck up out of here, y'all. All that being said, you can have all sort of success. I'm sure of it. Peace, contentment, this and that. And the tribulation, we can all come together as we've proven right now. Shout out Philip, shout out Ghetto Boy, shout out Deb, shout out ABC News, shout out everybody else out there, on the interweb, all right? We can all come together, put our minds together, have some solutions. Think of radical thoughts. Think outside of the box, you know what I mean? Come to solutions. If we had to ban school, why don't we ban school? Everybody wants to clean the school. Who cares about school, man? They're getting all our money and stuff, putting our kids, basically up on the chopping block and stuff like this, teach them all sort of weird, twisted history and things of this nature. It's like, dude, we need to come to some radical solutions probably. Only way to do that is to use our words like dang adults and consider everybody else, and their opinions and their perspectives and their insights and stuff like this. I'm going to get back to y'all a little bit later about some other stuff, man. If I can, I'll try and regulate these dang live streams so that you know when they are. I appreciate y'all for coming out. I appreciate everybody who's going to watch this after the recording's done, man. I appreciate all y'all. Leave some comments and stuff like this, especially send me an email. at my email. And I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.